agus fáilte go hocus pocus lack of focus, the very uneducational podcast that treks through topics such as witchcraft, paranormality, true crime and all things weird in the world. Today we will be discussing the Dyatlov Pass Incident, and it really has something for everyone. It's Misha Justy, and I'm going to enjoy today's episode because it's weird, unexplainable, and everyone gets naked. I'm joined by a man who will enjoy today's topic because it's based on Cold War Russia. If you heard a tear, that was his boner ripping through his pants by the mere mention of Russia. It's Oisin Byrne.
I am also naked right now.
And as always, it's our hostess with the most chest who will of course enjoy today's topic because it's full of death and there's no nasty numbers involved to make her silly head all hurty. It's Dani Thomas.
I have a learning difficulty.
Oh, that's what we're saying. Okay.
Yeah, you're retarded. Woke's dead, guys. We could call her retarded again.
We can, yeah. And I am. That's fine. But I am really, really glad that we're back to something a little bit more grisly this week because I had a awful time last week.
With the scary numbers.
I hated it.
The scary numbers were like 1 + 1 and you just started crying and we were like, and then 2 + 3 and you just got like that 1,000-yard stare that was just like, you know, you were back in school again and you had your dunce cap on.
I have ADHD and I have dyscalculia. It's not a good combination.
I can't even say dyscalculia.
Also, I'm autistic, but like shark autistic, not like fucking...
Not useful in the greater world autistic.
No, I have nice tits. I don't need to...
Not gotta leave the table autistic.
Leave the table. Leave the table. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You're autistic.
Autistic.
So for anyone who was not listening to the last episode, you've just jumped in now because you've typed in Dyatlov Pass into Spotify. We did an episode on simulation theory last week, and when it got down to it wasn't even the quantum mechanics that got you. It was just counting the simple numbers to get us to the golden ratio, and it was like watching a child get its hand caught in a door. You just filled with tears and made no noises.
I actually did cry a little bit. I did
staring
cry
straight at the camera, like just through her eyes, pleading, like, please help,
and help.
So what are we doing this week, Dani, to soothe yourself?
Loads of dead Russians.
Okay, not so bad.
Really happy about it. So yeah, the Dyatlov Pass. So we've been talking about doing this one for ages now.
Since episode 1, I think you've been talking about wanting to do the Dyatlov Pass.
And there is so much that goes into it, and they've already given me shit for it being like 6 pages?
Yeah.
I put quantum mechanics into a paragraph, and you've done 6 pages of Russians go up a hill, Russians all die.
And that's the episode, folks.
So I've been Justy, she's been Dani. No, but like I did a bit of storytelling.
Telling a few scales.
Yeah, a few puka scales. So I'll just jump in. That's like it is puka scale, isn't it? It's ghost story.
Yeah, ghost story. Yeah, but also a puka snail is like is a snail. You'd call it puka snail.
Is that the one that Gary is in SpongeBob?
No, that's an animated snail. A puka snail is a snail.
No, what? He's supposed to be a snail, obviously.
He's a fucking sea snail. He's a fucking...
Are we thinking of like in Munster when they call snails shellikabookies?
That's not a thing, is it?
It is. It's a Waterford thing, shellikabookie.
Fantastic, because Kabuki Mario is after coming straight to my mind there. And that's... do you know what Kabuki Mario is based on? Not a raccoon, but that raccoon dog in Japan that looks all cute. He's not related.
I've seen those.
So he's not related to a raccoon at all, but it's just like it looks like a raccoon, but it's a type of like little fox looking thing. And that's what Mario is in Super Mario Bros. 3, the best video game that was ever made, and nothing has ever been better than it.
It is pretty good. Yeah.
I am using this time to pour myself a drink because I don't know anything about Mario. That's a lot of vodka. I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, great. That's what those Russians said.
It's vodka. I'm getting into the spirit.
So you're getting into a character of a Russian.
I'm method reading this one. Plus, I thought it would be fun as well, Justy, because you get to do your Russian accent a lot.
Do I? I have a terrible Russian accent.
I think that's the point of this show, is that we just do bad accents.
Unless, and the public will never hear it, but unless it's my Indian accent.
You did it last week.
I'm sure Alex cut that out.
No way. There's no way. I'm sure it was vital. It was the only one of 3 times that you spoke during that episode, so you has to keep it in.
My favoritism. I'm like a nepo baby with Alex. Right. I will also, disclaimer before I start, I am going to start, I promise, but this is going to be a lot of me mispronouncing Russian words.
Oh yeah, like as I was reading this, I can't wait to watch you try to pronounce these words.
I didn't even, So, the Northern Urals, February 1959. There is literally nothing out here. No roads, no towns, no cell towers, no power lines, and frankly, no sign that anyone has ever been here at all, except for markings carved into trees by the Mansi people who have lived nearby for centuries. We'll get into those a little bit later. Above the tree line, the forests disappear, turning into a place known as Dead Mountain. I'm not saying the Russian name because I've already said Dead Mountain. 9 people were heading toward it. They were young, experienced, and they knew exactly how dangerous it was. But something went wrong. It wasn't in the way that you would expect, like an avalanche or getting lost in bad weather. It was something stranger than that. Something that, over 60 years later, no one has been able to explain. This is the story of the Dyatlov Pass Incident.
I love the way you've just like straight away been like, not an avalanche, not nothing, when they basically said on 2 occasions when they've done, when they've gone.
It's a theory. It's a theory.
I don't believe, exactly. I don't believe it, but the actual explanation is avalanche. Like, just so I know where you stand on it straight away.
I think that's the least plausible.
I don't know about least plausible.
One of the least plausible. Again, we'll get into that later as to why that is. So, the Soviet Union was changing in the 1950s. Stalin was dead, and Nikita Khrushchev, that's right?
Khrushchev.
We've done a whole thing about Khrushchev.
Are you going to let me get through this? Because you're fucking complaining about how long it is.
Sorry, go on.
It felt for the first time in a generation like ordinary people had room.
Continue there.
Is that a delay, or are you just trying to fucking piss me off?
Just trying to piss you off.
Justy, shut up. I'm trying to read. Like, I'm so bad at doing this. Just like fucking. All right. It felt for the first time in a generation like ordinary people had room to breathe. The restrictive air of wartime was finally letting up, and new freedoms, however small, were opening across their country. One of those freedoms was the outdoors, walking clubs and skiing clubs. The Soviets call this sports tourism, organized expeditions into the wilderness, sanctioned by the state but fueled by an energy that the state couldn't quite control. Young people, especially students, took to it. In a system that governed nearly every aspect of their lives, the mountains offered something that no one else could: escape. At the Ural Polytechnical Institute in Sverdlovsk, the Skiing and Mountaineering Club was one of the most popular organizations on campus. UPI had grown into Russia's biggest technical school by the 1950s and was deeply tied to local industry. It produced engineers, physicists, and radio specialists, serious students training for serious careers. But on weekends and holidays, those same students strapped on skis and disappeared into the Urals. They did it for the same reason anyone does something dangerous. It makes them feel alive.
So this was like post-war Russia, where like, you know, everyone was kind of like riding high on the successes. And even though they were still under like, you know, a very controlling government regime, something like this was like, oh yeah, like, you know, we'll encourage this like sports tourism. It kind of like ties into how during the war, like all that Russian propaganda was about like, you know, people, their relationship with the land and, you know, bonding with their country to build this type of patriotism.
Yeah.
But they also had nothing else.
There was
they didn't have fucking ping pong tables. They were like, oh, what can we do for fun? Let us walk up the hill. Like, they've got nothing. They've
Are
literally...
they also the Count from Sesame Street?
Let us go into dangerous mountain.
Yes. How many mountains will we climb today? 1, 2, Yeah, terrible accent.
I thought that yours... maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I thought that you did have a good Russian accent.
I don't know what to tune into, or I can't be
Heated Rivalry. If you watch Heated Rivalry, you'll get a good Russian accent.
I'm not watching it, not because it's gay, but because it's ice hockey.
There's barely any ice hockey. There's like ass hockey.
That's just fucking.
It's literally just a lot of gay sex. It's I'm like the fact that the same guy who made Shoresy made it is the funniest thing in the world to me. But anyway, in the summer of 1958, while trekking through the Alatai Mountains, a fifth-year radio engineering student named Igor Dyatlov. What the fuck?
How did you get stumped on Dyatlov?
Trying. I don't know. I'm focusing on not getting the words wrong that I just got it wrong. I'm sorry. Igor Dyatlov told his hiking companions about a plan. He wanted to lead an expedition to the northern Urals in winter and become the first to reach the peak of Mount Ortartan, which is Dead Mountain, in February, the most brutal month of the year. Everyone knew that Dead Mountain. They knew the terrain around it was hostile and very dangerous, but 4 people immediately showed interest. All right, here we go.
Here we go.
But what wasn't it that? Oh, sorry, you have it. I'm just reading on there. You have it down there that they were going for like a particular like badge. So they were like, you have to go to like
it's like a charter 3. Yeah, like a level 3. I think all of these climbers were a level 2, and then this one would like obviously bump them up.
So it's funny that like that is their kind of like, this is for them is like remember in school you used to get swimming badges, and you were like, you in
exactly like that? Yeah,
the blue group, the white group, or the yellow group. Yeah, these guys they're basically jumping into the deep end. Yeah, so this is what this is.
Yeah.
Except for
essentially
extremely opposite, and they are climbing up a hill instead of swimming in a 7-foot pool. That's cleared that up for me, guys.
Anyway, so 4 students immediately showed interest, which is Nikolai.
Let me try this. Nikolai Thibault Brignol, Rustem Slobodin, Yuri Krivonishchenko, and Yuri Yudin.
Okay, thank you for that. By January 1959, Dyatlov had assembled a group of 10, 8 men and 2 women. The Sverdlovsk City Route Commission approved the expedition and confirmed the group on January 8, 1959. The route was classified as Category 3, the highest difficulty rating for such a trip. It required trekking over 300 kilometers through the wilderness. Because every member of the group already held Grade 2 certification with ski tour experience, completing this expedition would earn them that coveted highest Grade 3 status. Dyatlov planned the trip to take 16 to 18 days. Does anyone else want to name the hikers for me, please?
Jesus Christ.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can get some of these. Okay, so we have
Thanks, Oisin.
Igor Dyatlov.
23.
Zeneda Zina Kolmogorova.
22.
Ludmila Luda Dubinina. 20. Yuri Doroshenko. 21. Georgy Yuri Krivonchenko. 23. Rustem Rustik Slobodin. 23. Alexander Sasha Kolovatov. 24. Nikolai Thibault Brignole. Oh, that was Italian. 23. Yuri Yudin. 21.
And the last guy?
Semyon Sasha Zolotarov. 37.
So I'm going to go a little bit into Sasha because he is a little bit of an outsider here and is one that we will come back to at a later point. But the oldest of the group and stranger to almost everyone on the expedition, born in southern Russia to a Cossack family, at age 20 he was drafted into the Red Army. He fought from Stalingrad to Berlin, earned 4 military decorations, and remarkably did so without sustaining a single wound.
This just means that this motherfucker is a terrifying man. Like,
fucking
he was in the Red
scary.
Army during World War II and didn't even get fucking wounded. Like,
nothing. And statistically, only 3% of Soviet soldiers who served from the beginning to the end of the war survived.
Like, that's just
and he
survived.
didn't even have a scratch. Like, literally. Scary. Just built different.
Either that or he was a coward.
And hid the whole time?
Yeah, I don't think he did, but, but I'm just saying.
I think this guy has killed 50,000 people.
Yeah. He's the guy that they make films about afterwards. Like.
Baba Yaga.
He eventually found work as a senior tourism instructor. He was a master level ski instructor and mountain hiker. He was single, which raised eyebrows in that era, and had gold capped teeth and a mustache. Beneath his clothes, he had many tattoos, including a 5-pointed star and a cryptic, untranslatable inscription that roughly read, Der Musea, whatever that is. Which he sounds exactly like my type. I think I would fuck him.
I was literally about to say that, like, you have a framed photo of him hung up in your apartment.
Legit, like the gold capped teeth, the mustache, tattoos, like, go on. So while he asked the group to call him Sasha, his real name was Semyon. He was originally assigned to a different expedition, but switched to Dyatlov's team at the last minute because their route was longer. Luda wrote in her diary that initially nobody wanted him because he was a stranger, but they eventually accepted him. Before leaving, Zolotarov told his own students something strange. This whole world will start talking about this trek. He offered no further explanation, saying only, they will find out about everything.
I mean, like, if I was going on a trek up a mountain in, like, the most dangerous time of year in a well-known dangerous route, and a guy turned up with a load of, like, questionable tattoos, a mustache and a gold tooth, said something like this, absolutely fucking not. Like, this guy, he sounds like he's just like, yes, maybe they will die. Everyone will talk.
I would expect him to challenge me to, like, a fiddle duel, because that's the devil.
Do you think that thing that was written on his chest is just, like, you know, like, in case you missed it, and I see what, like, do you think that's, like...
Like, it's an acronym for something.
Acronym,
like,
yeah, exactly.
Terrifying.
Like, it's just, exactly. Like, demons are evil, real, mass murderers under Zionist hallelujah Ural whatever. I'm going to give up halfway through, but, like, it could be
anal
a Russian
into anal.
That's perfect. That's how I like to do it. But, like, it could be a Russian acronym for something absolutely fucked up.
It's the first initial of every person that he's killed on the mountain.
Yeah, it's his mountain
Spoiler
victims.
alert. Right, so on the night of January 23rd, 1959, the 10 hikers boarded a train in Sverdlovsk at 9:05 p.m. They shared the ride with the Blinov group, a separate hiking party bound for a different destination. Zenaida, I'm not saying the second name, Zenaida's diary painted a chaotic scene of departure. Where are my felt boots? Can we play mandolin on the train? We forgot the salt.
Sounds like a wild train ride.
I'm not having a stroke. That's what she wrote in her diary. During the ride, the boys made a pact to solemnly swear not to smoke the entire trip. Excitement filled the air. Group diaries note that late night conversations about love became a running theme, most of them provoked by Z. Kolmogorova, Life on the Trail, and the Evening Artoten. The group created a satirical newspaper dated February 1st titled Evening Artoten Number 1. This was a popular team ritual among Soviet expedition groups. It read like a collection of inside jokes from people who genuinely enjoyed each other's company. The newspaper advertised a philosophical seminar on love and tourism held daily in the tent, with lectures presented by Dr. Thibault and candidate of love sciences Dubinina. It asked jokingly, can one stove and one blanket warm 9 tourists? The science section reported that the snowman lives in the northern Urals near Ortoten Mountain, and the technical news section mocked Nikolai Thibault's attempt at building a drag sled, saying it was, quote, good while riding on the train, by car, and on horseback, where cargo transportation of snow is not really connected.
Like, it sounds like they're just like having like a really good laugh the night before. Like there's something like quite like flirty about their approach to it. Like, you know, like one stove, one blanket, will that warm all 9 tourists?
Yeah.
You know, like this philosophical seminar on love and tourism. Maybe they were going up the mountain to fuck. I'm just putting that out there.
They're also talking about the Yeti, or I don't know what they call it in Russia, but that's who the snowman
Abominable snowman.
Exactly. Yeah. So they kind of do a whole thing where they kind of make fun and are talking about like, oh, we're going up there to find the abominable snowman. Like just nice. While they were playing in this newsletter that they made. So, they're kind of just having the crack, but also there's a lot of kind of foreshadowing on stuff that, like, even when they're talking about the stove there, can one stove heat 9 people? It seems like when you're reading it at the start, it's like, oh, that's all fun. And then by the end of it, you're like, did the stove have something to do with it?
Wait a minute. Yeah.
Did the abominable snowman have something to do with it? Like, you kind of go through your head and be like, oh, all these things they joked about at the start are like, you know, if Yuri had his sled,
everything's a factor.
Maybe they'd all be alive, but his sled was shit. Like, so everything now you're looking at it like, foreshadowing.
As well, it does make sense, like, because they seem like a really tight-knit group of friends. It does make sense why they wouldn't want this random stranger with them as well.
Yes, this gold-toothed, mustachioed stranger,
like 40-year-old dude that's just like, hey, like, you know what I mean?
He's probably just like standing there, like sharpening a knife the whole time while they're like having a laugh. Like, you're just like,
eating an apple off the knife, like, and like talking about how, like,
he's Russian. He's eating a turnip off.
Sorry,
the knife.
yes, eating a turnip, eating some kind of root vegetable. But like, that's the thing. Like, if you picture this as like the opening scene in a horror movie, like, he's the guy that, you know, like when like everybody's having a laugh, the door opens, lightning strikes behind this dark figure, and then as the lights come back on, you see this guy standing there with his like evil mustache and his gold tooth glinting in the lights.
You're like, all gonna die up there.
He's just like, call me Sasha.
Ain't nobody returned from Dead Mountain.
My antique gold teeth.
So they arrived in Visay. Is that Visay? Yeah, I guess. Visay around 2 p.m. on January 25th and said goodbye to the Blinoff group, who continued on a different path. That evening, they went to a local club and watched a film called Symphony in Gold. Ludmila wrote afterward, "This is real happiness, so difficult to describe with words. The music is just fabulous." The group spent the next day in Visay preparing equipment. Around 10 a.m., they wrote home for the last time. After lunch at 1:30 p.m., they caught a ride on a logging truck headed for the 41st District Settlement. From there, they pushed on to a place called the 2nd Northern Settlement, effectively a ghost town left behind by loggers. Their route tracked north along the Lozva River, then turned to follow the Ospia River toward the Highland Ridgeline. The indigenous Mansi people had a name for the mountain at the far end of the ridgeline, Kholat Sikal, or again, Dead Mountain. Along the way, the group spotted trail signs carved into the trees by the Mansi. So,
like, this whole setup here is just so ominous. Like, they're having a great time. There's a weird guy called Sasha. They're like writing in their diary, just like, this is the greatest day of my life. The music is beautiful. And then there's just like, oh yeah, that's a logging town. It's abandoned. Ask no more questions. Don't worry. And then it's just like, you know,
the indigenous people.
The indigenous people who've been there for fucking thousands of years, and it's just like, oh, what a beautiful part of the country. What kind of fantastic name do the indigenous people have for this mountain? Dead mountain. It is dead.
We have carved it into the trees.
Symbols carved into the trees as well. It's just a load of skull and crossbones.
Yeah, turn back. Have either either of you seen the movie The Ritual?
No.
I've heard of it.
Fantastic horror movie.
I think you might have told me about this one, Dani, that you recommended it to me, but then I don't like horror movies.
Yeah, it's one of my all-time favorite horror movies. So it's like a British horror movie, and it's basically this group of like lads, and they've been friends for years. They're all kind of like settled down in their careers. One of the guys getting married, and they're all out on his stag do. The one guy who's like kind of, I guess, like the fuck up of the group is not settled down, doesn't have anyone, doesn't have like a well-paying job like everyone else, is just throwing sulks or whatever. So they go into this corner shop. He gets in trouble. He gets like held up by someone trying to rob the supermarket. And then the guy that they all kind of idolize, the best guy, he gets like shot and killed. And his like last place he wanted to go was he wanted to do this trek through like rural Sweden, and no one would ever go with him. But now that he had died, they were like, fuck it, we'll do this trek for him and we'll like scatter some of his ashes. And it's literally just this essentially, and it's like they come across all of this like weird like Norse folklore shit happening, all these like people living in the woods.
Yeah. So this is the thing with like with Swedish stuff, is it gets real fucked up,
scary.
Yeah, because they've got like their elves and their trolls and stuff like that are like real fucked up, actual
demons, like folklore demons that live in these woods and stuff. And then like it's the classic kind of like Blair Witch trope where they keep getting turned around in the forest, and like they find an abandoned cabin and they stay there, and then they go trekking for a day, and then they wind up back at the cabin. Like it's really, really, really good movie, and it's genuinely one of the better kind of modern horror movies. But yeah, if you're into stuff like the Dyatlov Pass Incident, anything like that, definitely check that movie out.
I'd be interested to know, like, when we talk about, because like we see what these guys are talking about when it comes to like the Abominable snowman and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I'd be interested to know what are the kind of things in Russian folklore that these guys would be kind of worried about. You know what I mean? Like if we were to be in the woods,
turn into Mickey Mouse there. I'm sorry.
But if we were to like go into the woods here in Ireland, or even you guys who are living in the enemy territory, there's a lot of Celtic folklore that will be involved. Like, so again, like the fairies or the banshee or the will o' the wisp or something like that. You'd be in there going, oh fuck yeah. Or even as we were talking about with the Kelpie, the fucked up horse that drags you into the river, like that kind of stuff. That is like the Celtic folklore. I'd be wondering what these guys or is it in Russia, are they more like we worry about snow,
Baba Yaga?
Well, like Baba Yaga, is very it's Eastern and hilarious chicken legged house. But I wonder as well, is there like don't go into the forest because this particular thing will get you? You know what I mean? Obviously, Baba Yaga being like the main one.
Men called Sasha.
We don't need folklore when we have man with mustache and shiny teeth.
Scariest thing in Russia is Russians.
Like
in Mother Russia, Russians scare folklore.
But they have like fucking bears out there. Do you know what I mean? Like there's
a much, probably have like some kind of like demon bear.
Yeah, there's more real things to be scared of than a make-believe thing. I'm just I'm gonna Google it really quickly.
No, they have a ton of weird stuff.
I imagine like all cultures kind of have their fucked up stuff. I'm just wondering what would scare a Russian. You get me? Apart from a Ukrainian.
A domovoy, a leshki, and a yodyanoi. These creatures often explain natural phenomena, enforce moral behavior, or represent untamed nature.
Standard folklore.
Baba Yaga. And then there's Koshi the Immortal, who is a sorcerer. I'm trying to find any. Oh, here we go. Leshy is a forest spirit, can change size, appearing as a tall tree or as small as grass, and he leads travelers astray, but can be appeased. Doesn't say how to appease him, but he can be appeased.
I've found the most Russian sounding one. It's called Liko Odno Glazoi, and it's the one-eyed incarnation of misfortune.
Oh, nice.
Your dick. They're calling your dick.
It's just like an incarnation of misfortune.
My penis is a one-eyed incarnation of misfortune.
Love it. There's another one here called a Cot Bayon, is a giant man-eating cat who sings songs to lure travelers to their doom. Only a hero with iron strength can capture him. Oh, then there's a Bannock, which is the spirit of the bathhouse. I don't like this guy.
Spirit of the bathhouse. I've seen a few of them in my time.
Hey.
You know you don't have to wear your towel in here. You want more steam?
Sharpening knife.
I like Schwitz.
Now let me beat you with palm tree. You ever see them in the Russian bathhouses? And there's like so you go into like a steam room and then these guys beat you to fuck with like branches of trees. Looks unreal. Looks incredible, but just imagine
very relaxing.
A bunch of sashes in there beating you with branches of trees.
See, I could do with being taken down a peg, so I probably would really like that. So, on the morning of January 28th, Yuri Yudin made the hardest decision of his life. His joint pain severely flared up, and his rheumatism. What is rheumatism?
It's a type of arthritis.
Yes, like arthritis. Yeah.
Oh, immediately Simpsons quote.
This
and
guy,
Marge is like, your father will be absolutely fine. It's like, Mom, it's a picture phone. It's like, I just have a touch of the rheumatism.
Also, like, this guy is 21 years old and like his rheumatism was fucking him up. Like this poor son of a bitch.
Yeah. So rheumatism and joint pain. His body was telling him what his mind didn't want to hear. He couldn't go on. He handed off what equipment he could to Yuri Odoshenko so the group could put it to use. Lumila pressed a small teddy bear into his hands as a goodbye gift, and he watched them walk away, devastated. Little did he know the decision would save his life. Which
fucking the level of detail here, Dani, is pissing me off. You're like, she pressed a small teddy bear into his hand and sent him on his way,
and he was sad.
I done a paragraph on quantum mechanics.
You should learn how to research better.
I did 9 days of research, but I had to put it into a fucking hour and a half.
You had to put it into Dani language.
Fine. I'll quit this podcast and it'll just be politics and maths, and then fine. Fine. Fucking have it your fucking way.
My own podcast with Blackjack.
2 + 2 equals 5, and Al Gore thinks it's raining outside. Like, fuck 2 years.
Is that what you hear when we speak?
Yes.
Al Gore thinks it's raining outside. Oh no. Oh fuck. Okay, Dani, tell your fucking story about these 9 Russian dickheads.
Right, so and then there were 9. They pushed along the Lozva, skiing in formation and rotating the leader every 10 minutes or so, which sounds exhausting. Like, just fucking, like, why are you Power Rangers? January 29th, and it was Yuri Doroshenko's birthday. Kolmogorova noted it in her diary. Today is Yurka's birthday. We first go to Lozva, then we turn to Auspia. Surroundings are beautiful. By January 30th, the cold had become routine. One diary entry reads, "Today is the 3rd cold night on the bank of the Auspia River. We are getting used to it. The stove does a great job." There. Call
See,
back.
there we go. The stove is their friend.
The stove gets a little too friendly though, guys. Because everybody starts giving out about how hot the stove gets.
Allegedly.
On January 31st, the weather turned ugly with gusting winds and heavy snow. They couldn't see more than a few meters ahead. They tried to push up towards the pass, but the weather stopped them, and they retreated to the Auspia Valley, now running behind schedule. That night, Igor Dyatlov wrote the last entry in the group diary. "Can't imagine such a comfort somewhere on the ridge with a piercing wind hundreds of kilometers away from human settlements." So they really were out in the fucking back arse of nowhere.
The Urals, if you guys will remember when I was talking about people preparing for the end of the world. When we were talking about the Anunnaki and Nibiru coming, like even like put the Anunnaki aside, Mo. But the planet, the planet coming around. If it causes like catastrophic, fucking the whole world is going to end. Apparently, and this is again just a kind of a rumor, the Russians have been building cities inside the Ural Mountains. So like they're digging to make like an underground, like basically a city-sized bunker in these mountains just in case of the end of the world.
That is, again, not to always bring everything back to video games like I do, but that is the entire plot for a Tomb Raider game, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. She's basically going through Siberia and has to like cut through a bunch of gulags, which is cool. But there's basically a lost city where the prophet is from, and it's like in the middle of the mountains in fucking Russia, which is very interesting. But yeah, that's been talked about for a long time, and I thought it's like a really cool premise for a game as well. Okay, so the group got a late start on February 1st. They found a wooded valley where they dug out a labas, which is a supply cache buried in the snow, again, like a video game, and stashed roughly 55 kilograms of surplus food and equipment for the return trip, planning to come back for it. After lunch, Dyatlov led the group up towards Dead Mountain. They covered about 2 kilometers before conditions deteriorated. The sky closed in, preventing them from determining their location. Instead of cutting through the pass as planned, they ended up heading straight toward the summit. Here, Dyatlov made a crucial choice. The tree line was only 1.5 kilometers behind them, promising forested ground, shelter from the wind, and a safer place to sleep. Instead, he chose to stay on the exposed slope. The plan was simple. Survive just one cold night and then have a warm overnight the following day at Lake Lunkestopper.
Yep. Your guess is as good as mine on that one.
Titikaka.
It looks all right, whatever. Our one listener in Moscow is going to be fuming with all of this.
Absolutely fucking.
It is Putin.
The one KGB officer that's been assigned to this podcast is like, I can't believe they did not get Lake Luntakushka Sapter.
I followed Dani from Scream Queen and she's still shite. They set up camp on the northeastern side of Dead Mountain, about 300 meters below the peak. The ground angled at roughly 30 degrees. After that, there was silence. Sometime after dark, something happened. There is no diary entry, no photograph, and no survivor to explain it. Everything known about the night of February 1st, 1959 is pieced together from what was left behind. So, here's where we get into all of the weird shit. The evidence tells us that 9 people ate dinner in their tent around 6 or 7 p.m. The weather outside was savage, with hurricane force winds 20 to 30 meters per second, temperatures plunging to minus 40 degrees Celsius, and a full snowstorm raging across the ridge. The stove was packed away in its case and never assembled. The Evening or Toten newspaper was near the entrance. Everything about the day seemed normal, and then something changed. Someone cut the tent open from the inside. First, small horizontal slits were made near the roof, later described as viewing slits, as though someone was trying to see outside without leaving shelter. Then came the home after cuts. 1 long vertical slash and 2 horizontal tears ripped wide enough for a person to climb through. It appeared they first looked and then they ran. 9 people left the tent and walked into a blizzard wearing almost nothing. Every pair of boots, jackets, raincoats, and backpacks stayed behind. Cut food sat on plates, suggesting a meal either half prepared or just completed. They abandoned everything and left in what they were sleeping in, with 2 exceptions. Zolotaryov and Tibiu were later found better dressed than the others, with some footwear. This suggests they may have been outside the tent when the incident began.
And like with the tent in this state, like it's literally just they found like the slits that they think was like, you know, just cut a couple of slits to look outside, which like when you're in a tent to cut some slits, you're letting all that cold air in. It's not a logical thing to do. And then, you know, cutting it from the inside so you can escape. there was no other like damage to the tent. You know, it's not like there was like, you know, claw marks or, you know, like teeth marks that they could attribute. It was not
from outside in. Yeah. It was all from inside out.
Yeah. So 8 or 9 sets of footprints led downhill. A search party radiogram later described them. We managed to identify footprints of 8 or 9 people starting from the tent and going about 1 kilometer down the slope. And then they were lost. One person was in boots. The others were only in socks and barefoot. The footprints were preserved in an unusual way. The compressed snow had hardened into pedestals that held their shape while the wind scoured away the looser snow around them. The group moved in single file, with a tall man at the back whose prints partly covered the ones ahead. A few trails peeled off from the main line before joining back. The overall impression, according to analysis, was an organized and uneventful descent. They essentially walked downhill. Whatever drove them out of the tent was terrifying enough to make them abandon all survival gear and not get dressed, but not terrifying enough to make them run. Furthermore, the entrance to the tent was available. Why cut through the side? One explanation is that the cuts were made on the side opposite the primary wind direction where the hikers slept. If the entrance was blocked by snow, debris, or a threat, cutting through the walls closest to their heads was the fastest way out. Regardless, leaving without insulation in minus 40-degree weather is a death sentence. They were extremely smart, experienced individuals who knew this. Whatever happened gave them no time to prepare. After roughly 500 meters, the footprints disappeared beneath the fresh snow. A few items were found on the slope. One flashlight was found 450 meters from the tent, switched on but with a dead battery. Another flashlight sat on top of the tent itself, resting on a thin layer of snow, completely uncovered, as if someone had set it there after the storm had already begun. A broken piece of ski lay 20 meters from the tent.
And like, it's worth saying that like these are experienced climbers, you know, like they're like category 2, they are going for category 3, they're going for like something super difficult because they have, well, you know, they think they have the experience to do it. But if you're a category 2 hiker, you're no joke, you're not an amateur.
No.
So like these guys would know the risks of going up this mountain in these conditions. So they would know about, you know, hypothermia, the complications from it, the confusion, you know, like the way that like you just get like all messed up there and your brain kind of like switches from one mode to another where you think I'm freezing to death and then I'm burning to death.
Paradoxical hypothermia, is that what it is?
Yes. Yeah. And so like these guys, especially like, you know, there's 9 people. Like, so like if one person starts to freak out, the other people would be able to go, oh no, look, you know, like, we'll help you get through this. This is not like, you're not burning up. We're going to help you out here. But it's that all 9 of them have, you know, taken part in like whatever may or may not have happened.
Mm-hmm. So before leaving, Dyatlov promised that when the group made it back to Vizhai, he would wire the UPI Sports Club to confirm their safe return. That telegram was due by February 12th at the latest. February 12th passed with no word. Initially, nobody panicked. It wasn't unusual for such groups to be a few days late. However, by February 15th, family members started asking questions. Yuri's younger brother, Igor, pushed the university trade union committee to contact Vizhai. Vizhai's response was short. They had not returned and no telegram had arrived. Things should have escalated, but Lev Gordo, head of the UPI Sports Club, told parents of Lumita and Sasha that he had received a telegram from Dyatlov about a delay. That was a lie. Gordo assumed that the group would show up and decided to manage the families rather than sound an alarm, which is just fucking bullshit.
Which is Russian. Like, we went through this when we brought Oisin on to do
Chernobyl.
To do Chernobyl, and it's like we get this. It's very Russian to be like, there is no problem. Don't let on that there's a problem. Let's lie about it and deal with it afterwards. And it just seems like this is what it is. It's like a typical...
Those guys are just freaking out over nothing. Like, it's just...
There's no problem. They are Russian.
Yeah.
So February 17th, Rima Koletova, Sasha's sister, went looking for Gordo, but his office was empty. The families finally forced action by complaining directly to the local head of the Communist Party. In the Soviet system, pressure from above moved faster than concern from below. On February 20th, relatives demanded a rescue operation, and the first search parties remobilized the next day.
I just love that like, you know, they had to go to like, you know, the local head of the Communist Party, and they were just like, look, no one's taking us seriously. And just because he is like that one step on the Soviet ladder above them, they were all just like, the reason that they did the search party then is because they were afraid of the consequence of not doing it, because this guy was like, right, search party, I'm watching.
Mm-hmm.
It's also very interesting that guy's office was completely empty. Like, he didn't work at the university anymore when she went to question him. Like, he was just gone. Like, it's just bizarre. So the scale of the effort was enormous. Colonel Gregory Ortyukov from the UPI military department was put in charge. Volunteers, students, faculty, and experienced hiking groups, including the Bilanov expedition that they met on the train, joined. The search included guards from the Ivolglag prison system, 7 officers from the MVD, main law enforcement in Russia, and Mansi hunters who knew the wilderness immediately. Again, I keep saying this, but the Mansi tribe, we'll get into those a little bit later, but it just speaks volumes that even they were trying to help. Obviously, indigenous, they know the land, they hunt there all the time. And I just think it's really cool that they did help.
Well, like, I think the Mansi people, like, again, fair play to them for joining in here like that. But like, they're indigenous to the area, and they're not a big fan of, like, you know, just Russians or like laws or like, you know, and also women. So I think like there's a big thing like, send your men in here, we'll talk to them, we'll go find the men, but we don't care about finding the women. Like, this is what I have seen according to one or two sources. Like, but again, I don't know how true that is. Like, I don't know anything about the Mansi tribe except for the fact that they're mountain people from the Urals, which is like a mountain range which kind of separates Europe from Asia. So they're not like, they wouldn't consider themselves like Russian. They don't consider themselves Asian or European. They're just
they just think they're Mansi. That's it.
They're like, we're the Mansi. We are the mountain people from up here. Like, so like for them even to get involved in this is kind of like, okay, like we have to play along to get along, I think. Like,
Mm-hmm. So specialists were dispatched from Moscow, and aircraft scanned the terrain from Ivdel. The Bilanov group brought troubling news. They had encountered severe snowstorms near Dead Mountain. Officials clung to the hope that the Dyatlov group had simply dug in somewhere to ride out the weather. On February 23rd, the team under Boris Slobstov was flown by helicopter to the area around Mount Ortotin. I'm just going to keep saying Dead Mountain. I don't know why I kept changing it. It's Dead Mountain. So by the following day, they had covered the mountain and came up empty. No flags, markers, or signs that the hikers had ever been there. The group had fallen short of their destination. The next day, Slobstov's team spotted ski tracks and followed them. On February 26th, they found the tent on the slope of Dead Mountain, partly caved in and draped in snow. Everything the hikers had carried was still inside. 9 backpacks, 9 pairs of shoes, minus 1 shoe, fur coats, blankets, and food, including biscuits, condensed milk, and sugar. Also present were the stove, an axe, a saw, cameras, notebooks, and the group's planned route. The Evening or Torton Joke newspaper was found inside. Outside, a pair of skis stood upright in the snow, and an ice axe rested near the entrance. Dyatlov's jacket had been tossed a short distance away. Inside the pockets were a folded knife on a carabiner, a small purse containing a picture of Zeneda, snow-covered the northern side of the tent and about 15 to 20 centimeters deep. The texture suggested it had blown in with the wind and not been pushed there by a sudden violent event.
Like, everything that you would need to survive outside a tent was left.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there was jackets left, socks, shoes, like like the knives. Like, if you're going to be wandering out into the woods, you would think, oh yeah, like I need to have like a knife with me, I need to have a torch, but like not even their boots.
Nothing.
They
like,
legged
it's
it.
Ridiculous.
Whatever was going on, like they were like, we have, like, if you haven't got time to put your clothes on in minus 40,
your shoes,
yes,
you think you're dying.
Anything,
But that's if that they rushed to go out and not like that they were all like suffering from this paradoxal psychosis. Like if they all had to, if it was something that they had to run, then that's kind of mental in itself. But if it's that they just left that stuff there and wandered out into the forest, like into the snow, that's even more fucked up.
Yeah. So the tent was transported back to Ivdel and strung up in the police headquarters to be studied. At first, everyone concluded that outsiders had ambushed the hikers and torn through the canvas from the outside. Then came a breakthrough. Vladimir Korotev, a young investigator new to the case, recalled that a woman called to the station to mend a uniform glanced at the tent. According to Korotev, she took one look at the tent and spoke with confidence that the cuts were made from the inside, which is so Russian and cool. Just like this old Russian seamstress, which is like, she's just like, no, cut come from inside. Like, it's just so cool.
Some like babushka just being like, no, cut from inside. What, are you, an idiot?
Is the angle of knife, you see? And it's just like, and I'm picturing Baba Yaga when I say that as well.
Tent has no legs. What is this?
No legs cut from inside? So this changed the entire course of the investigation. Formal confirmation came weeks later from Henrietta Turkina, a senior forensic specialist who examined the tent from April 3rd to April 16th. Man's just looking at a fucking tent for 13 days. Like, it's just funny. Her conclusion matched the seamstress. The cuts came from the inside. She's just like, yeah, she's probably right.
Well, like, as well, again, like, this just confirms, like, you know, there was, like, this is like a proper, like, forensic specialist. So, like, she confirmed, right, cuts came from the inside, and, like, there's no mention of any other damage to this tent. Like, this tent is in great nick apart from these cuts. And,
which is fucking crazy.
And clearly, like, you know, no sign of a struggle. So, like, there's no blood, there's no, like, hair, you know, like, say, clumps of hair or anything like that. Like, it's all just, like, it's sliced from the inside. That's all you got.
Yeah. So basically, she had concluded that the hikers were not attacked by outsiders and that they had done this themselves to get out quickly. The day after the tent was discovered, searchers found the first bodies. At 11 a.m. on February 27th, search party members Mikolai Sharvin and Yuri Kopletev spotted something dark near a large cedar tree 1.5 kilometers downhill from the tent. Slobstov's account states, while looking carefully around the area, they noticed something dark close to a cedar tree. There was a flat area next to the cedar, and on this were remains of a fire. About 2 or 3 meters from the fire, they found Yuri Doroshenko frozen, without his clothes and with his hand burned. And a little to the side, they found Yuri Krivenchenko's in the same state. The 2 Yuris lay in the snow in their underwear near the charred remnants of a small campfire. Krivonichenko's right foot was bare, and his left had a single torn brown sock. Another half-burnt sock lay by the fire. Doroshenko wore woolen socks layered under a thinner pair. Neither had adequate protection from the cold. The cedar tree told an intriguing story. Branches had been snapped off as high as 5 meters up, meaning someone had climbed in the dark and the freezing wind, either to look toward the tent or to break wood for a fire. Lower branches, 5 centimeters thick, had been sawed off with a finished knife, and some of the branches were found next to the dying fire.
So, like, this is like a weird, well, like, it's all weird, but just the weird thing about this is that, like, in order for them to leave the tent like this, you know, the theory is that they were terrified of something. And they just went like 400 meters away, which, like, on a mountain, 400 meters, 450 meters is a long way to go. And then they were just like, oh yeah, and now we'll just light a fire. Like, it's, you know, like, there is being terrified and then there is not being of your right mind.
Mm-hmm. So Krivonchenko's hands had 3rd-degree burns, the kind sustained only if the victim is conscious. He was awake for those burns. I don't actually know how that works, but that is just what I've read. Prosecutor Tempelov's record states, on the backs of his hands, the skin is torn. Between the fingers, there is blood. The index finger is also torn. The skin on the left shin is torn and covered in blood. And shockingly, Krivoshenko's hand had bitten a piece of his flesh from his own knuckle, and it was still in his mouth when they found the body. And it's not clear whether he had done this, like, you know what I mean, just out of like unintentionally, or if he was to stop from screaming, or, you know, whatever
or if
it was.
he was like, if he had completely lost his mind and he tried to cook his hand and then eat it.
Yeah, like that's we don't know like why that happened.
Yeah.
So Tempelov's notes on Doroshenko were: his ear, lips, and nose are covered in blood. His skin had turned deep brown purple. Grey foam had seeped from his right cheek, and something dark and wet ran from his mouth. The autopsy pointed to lung failure, fluid flooding the airways, and tissue battered by some kind of impact to his chest. Both officially died of hypothermia. The medical evidence lined up with that assessment. Swelling of the brain, darkened blood pooling in the heart, frostbite, and Wisniewski
spots.
Wisniewski spots on the stomach lining, which is a classic sign of freezing. However, the burns, the climbing, and the knuckle biting were not the actions of men who simply lay down and froze. They were fighting for their lives.
But in what way were they fighting? That's what I want to know. It's like, what was the story with like?
Why? They're trying. They're climbing fucking trees.
I get this. For whatever reason, they climbed the tree. Like I get that. Like either like they were up there. My theory on this is that these guys are not as affected by whatever happened as the other guys, and they're looking.
And we'll get to that. Yeah,
I was like, they're out looking for people. That's what I thought. So maybe they climbed the tree to have a look, and while we're up there, let's knock some branches off so we can light this fire and stuff. But like, what I can't really explain is that why is his hand burned, and why?
Yeah,
like he didn't just keel over and fall on a fire with his hand in the fire. Like there was something.
And he's in his bare feet, and he's biting his fucking knuckles.
Yeah, the biting of the knuckle is kind of weird.
Really weird.
Yeah.
And like the fact that he took off enough flesh off of his hand for that to be found in his mouth, like, is
it's a chunk of meat.
It's like a lot. Like, and again, like maybe if you're at that point where you are suffering from hypothermia, he probably couldn't even feel that he was fucking gnawing into his hand. Do you know what I mean? He was probably just totally fucking numb and couldn't feel it.
That's what I'm wondering, like, is the fire something got to do with like frostbite, where like he can't feel his hand and he's like, I need to heat my hand up, and he sticks his hand in
and then
the
just
fire.
freaked
So
out.
that's what, like it's just,
that is a possibility.
It's a weird one. Again, it only gets weirder from here, but like on
it does.
The initial, like these two guys, this is the least weird part of it all. But still, if it was just these two guys, you'd be like, that's weird. I wonder what happened.
Yeah. But it gets so much weirder. So 3 more bodies were found scattered along the slope between the cedar and the tent, positioned as if they were trying to walk back uphill. Igor Dyatlov and Zina. It's Zinaida, right?
Yeah, but it's set at the start. It gives you the out, and it says that her nickname is Zina.
Igor and Zina were discovered on February 27th. Rustem Slobodin was not located until March 5th, buried under a layer of snow.
Rustic.
They were found at distances. What?
It gives you all the nicknames at the start, and you.
I do. I'm just reading now. Leave me alone.
But what I'm saying here is, like, as you were like doing this, you could have just replaced all their names with some really easy nicknames that they gave you. There's 2 Yuris, a Zina, and a Rustic.
It's fine. I'm doing it. Now I've lost my fucking place.
I'm sorry.
Thank you again.
I'm sorry.
Where am I now? Buried under a layer of snow, they were found at distances of 300, 480, and 630 meters from the cedar. Kolmgrova made it closest to the tent. Dyatlov had a fur coat unbuttoned over a sweater and a shirt. The shirt had started the trip on Yuri Yudin, who gave it to Doroshenko. Dyatlov had apparently taken it from Doroshenko's body at the cedar. Dyatlov's socks didn't match, and he had edema and blood in his lungs. Kolmgrova had a bruise on her wrist shaped like a baton strike. Slobodin had a fracture in his skull. The official autopsy ruled the fracture non-fatal and stated the death as hypothermia, as it was for the other 2. But the blood Dyatlov was choking on, the bruise on Kolmgrova, and the crack in Slobodin's skull raised questions that the ruling didn't answer. The final 4 bodies weren't found until spring, more than 3 months later. On May 4th, searchers located them in a ravine 75 meters deeper into the forest beyond the cedar. They were buried under 4 meters of snow in a creek bed submerged in icy water. Ludmila, Semyon, and Alexander and Nikolai had 3 of the 4 warm layers that clearly had not been theirs originally. Clothing had been taken from the bodies of those who died first. Dubinina wore Korvinchenko's burned and torn trousers, and her left foot and leg were bound in the shredded remains of a jacket. Zolotaryov wore Kolmgrove's fur coat and hat.
This is like, you know, there was people like went ahead, had clothes on them, they like dropped, and then the people who were coming in behind them like saw that they were down, saw that they were in trouble, like maybe realized they were dead, and were just like, okay, we have to take their clothes because we're also not wearing enough.
Yeah.
But like there's total panic. Like, you know, they were like chopping up the clothes and wrapping around their legs rather than just putting the clothes on. So like, you know, there's a case that they were all suffering from hypoxia, which is like when you're up like a mountain and it's the lack of oxygen to your brain. You start to hallucinate and you start to make really questionable decisions. And it's just because they're so experienced, it's just so unusual that like the whole group they're all experiencing the same like panic and delusion.
Well, like just for that one, like just let's say we're all kind of drunk. And one person says, what we need to do is all jump into the sea. Like, how many times do you see it that like a bunch of people are like, yeah, that's such a great idea. Let's jump into the sea. So like, I'm just like, this is playing devil's avocado here, where it's like, if we were all up a mountain, oxygen deprived, so cold, like, I don't know, like I worked for fucking 20 years on the buildings in Ireland, and we've had some winters where like I'm working on a roof with like frosty like timber, and you can't, like when you go to grab a nail in your pocket, you can't feel the nails because it's so cold out. Now you imagine that like times whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like it gets -10 is really cold in Ireland. So like you imagine what -40 is for these guys. So when we're talking about like, oh, they're wrapping clothes around their legs and stuff like that, like what if you can't feel if you can't lift your legs, you can't bend your legs? Someone is like, let's just wrap ourselves. And there's no idea is a bad idea when you've got like no oxygen in your brain and you can't move your muscles. Like it just, I just to play like whether it was like mass hysteria of these people or whatever it was, I think like logically, like to say like that it's strange for like all of them to do these things, I think it's like it kind of makes sense that they would all follow suit. Like especially like if you look at like the likes of Dyatlov is the most experienced person here, probably apart from Sasha maybe, but like no one's going to listen to the weird fucking gold-toothed maniac who arrived.
I would.
With us. Of course you would.
Of course.
You'd be listening to your vagina through Sasha.
I would.
But what I'm saying here is like if someone says, guys, we need to get warm now, just wrap yourselves, just do it. Like I think like people are going to follow suit and all kind of do it. As weird as it sounds to us sitting in our our offices around Ireland and the UK, those decisions that they made on a mountain in the Urals in -40 Russia while they're panicking for whatever reason, those decisions aren't like, I don't think we can judge them on the decisions that they've made.
Oh, absolutely not. No.
I mean, like, I'm not judging them, but it is also just like...
It's weird as fuck. It is weird.
It's so strange.
I'm not saying it's not, but I'm saying like until you're faced with that, and I don't want to be the guy that's like that. Like, we don't know. You guys don't know. Like,
go out in a snowstorm in Russia, and then we'll talk. Just say you hate Russian hikers and go.
Well, but you get what I'm saying. Like we can't put ourselves into that position because how would you know what they do? How would you know what you would do in that position? Like?
Yeah, I suppose. And I guess it's the same thing as when you're watching a horror movie being like, dumb bitch, like, why did she go out and check what noise it is? I check noises all the time. Like when I'm staying anywhere. I am that dumb bitch.
You're like, I hope I meet a serial killer.
Yeah, you're just like, ooh, who could be out here?
Like, I would rather, like, I could relax more if I knew. I have to know what the noise is, like what's happening. And I've like maybe I've told the story on the podcast before. I do this all the time, but like when I was babysitting in the middle of fucking nowhere before, when I was a teenager, there was like a scream from outside, and this is the middle of nowhere. This is down by Hookhead, and I was like shitting myself, and I called the guards because I was like, "There's a woman fucking screaming," and they were like, "Oh yeah, we'll be out Saturday night. We'll be out in like fucking 2 hours." And they were like, "We're telling you there's nothing out there." And I was like, "I don't care. Like, just fucking come to." I was like pacing around the place like fucking Drew Barrymore from Scream, like shitting myself. Had the TV muted. The 2 kids were asleep upstairs. They come out then and they go out into the back. There's like a porch, whatever. And there's a vanguard and a guard. And then he calls me out and he was like, "Is this the noise?" And I was like, stood there. And then I heard it again. And I was like, "Yeah." And like looking at them like, "Are you not going to go fucking do something?" He's like, "It's a fox. That's the noise that female foxes make." I was like, "What?" Pulled his phone up then on YouTube.
Fox sex.
And then he showed me the noise, the exact noise female foxes make, and it was the exact same noise. Yeah. And I'd never heard, living in the town all my life, I'd never heard a female fox screaming. But
and if you want to hear that exact story again, folks, word for word, go back to the Banshee episode that we had in episode 19, maybe 20.
Is it? I thought I had told it, but whatever.
We definitely talked about it, but like it's prevalent now, but like you definitely, because we were talking about the Banshee and how we discovered, like, we were like, yeah, we think banshees are real in Ireland, but really it's just foxes riding.
It's just foxes riding, or it's like that one weird bird that sounds like a woman screaming. Is it a kestrel? Is it?
Is it a corncrake?
I'm not familiar in bird law, but
could you ask the bird?
There's one of them at night, which is like it shrieks and it hunts at night. But I think certain owls that shriek. They don't all go like barn owls shriek.
Do barn owls shriek?
They shriek, yeah. And I only learned this the other day from a TikTok video, but apparently they shriek.
I killed an owl on the road, yes, and I was fucking absolutely distraught because I was.
What happened?
I was just driving down the road, and for some reason, I decided to take
just flew out in front of you?
No, it was like stood on the road, but I didn't see it in the last minute, and it was a road I wouldn't normally take. So I'd normally be on the motorway.
That's an omen.
But instead, I was like, I'm gonna take the dual carriageway today, and because I wanted to go through Newbridge, for just some reason, I took that road, and I was like, oh. Is that a bag in the middle of the road? I was like, is that a white bag in the middle of the road? And no, it was, when I seen the wings flap, I was like, oh, I'm hitting this. And I lost sleep, like, cause like, I wouldn't give.
You'd feel awful.
Like, but like, it's such a
You never hurt an animal. Yeah.
Oh, such a beautiful bird. Like, and I was like, oh, fuck, I'm after, that's a terrible thing I've done. Oh, well, I'm going to hell.
I don't drive, and like I most people I know drive, but like I remember my brother coming home one night and he'd hit like a badger on the road, and he just felt so awful. He was in bits. He was just like, I don't even like. He's not even an animal person, but it's just the fact that it's like I didn't fucking mean to do this horrible thing to this poor badger who's probably going home to his ma, and like. I was like, well, badgers are bastards.
Well, badgers, we need to look after the badgers. Badgers are one of our like surviving animals indigenous to Ireland. Well, like, look, it is a European badger, but like the fact that we have them in Ireland, we should be kind of looking after them, because a lot of other animals we're not. So the government is doing a lot when it comes to making
badger tax.
Well, we have the badger tax, yeah. But we do have
protect the badgers now.
We do have badger trails that what they do is they've built like pipes.
I love
underneath
badgers.
The motorways. So like the badgers that want to wander from field to field, and they put badger pheromones in these tunnels. So it entices the badger.
So cool.
Yeah, so it brings the badgers into the tunnels rather than across the road. And yeah, it saved a lot of badger lives.
I got in trouble when I was visiting my brother in Long Island because I was feeding possums and raccoons.
Of course you were.
He was like, they're vermin. We don't want. He's like, they're going to be ripping the fucking bins apart. And I was like, but look how cute.
Yeah, they're so cute. Like, we should.
You were just like, they can rip my bins apart.
Don't make it weird.
Possums are like
just like
ugly cute.
Yeah, and then everyone's like, oh, they carry rabies. They're actually they're immune to rabies, so they don't carry rabies. They're just weird looking, and you don't like them because they're weird, but they're actually very cute and sweet. And they only live about 2 years. So let's lay off the possums. Anyway, so
North America's only marsupial.
Yeah, and they're so cute.
Only marsupial that lives outside of Australasia.
It's because they look like badgers, but they have rat tails, and everyone gets freaked out by the tail.
I think I should do my own wildlife podcast and put it up, because I just love this. Because now all I want to do is talk about
describe animals.
Yeah, I love it. Like I have loads of little.
We can do an episode on wildlife because it is a lack of focus. Hocus pocus. It covers all the bases. We can just. You can be like, what's his name? Don
Rickles.
No, an Irish fella, Don Conroy.
Don Conroy. Yeah. Only my expertise would be in weird animal facts, like wombats poop square.
I know, that's the cutest thing ever.
It's not that
anyway,
cute.
Dead people in Russia.
Oh yeah, shit.
So square shit.
Some autopsies to talk about.
So autopsies performed on May 9th revealed severe injuries inconsistent with standard hypothermia cases. Ludmila Dubinina, her chest had been crushed. Ribs 2 through 5 on the right and 2 through 7 on the left were fractured along 2 separate lines. There was massive bleeding into the right heart chamber and internal hemorrhaging in the chest cavity. Her tongue and eyes were gone. This is where I get freaked the fuck out here. Soft tissue around her brow, left temple, and upper lip was stripped away, and her nose cartilage was flattened and broken. She survived the initial trauma by 10 to 20 minutes and may have been conscious when her fucking tongue was being cut out.
Potentially.
So Semyon, his right side was devastated. 5 ribs were snapped and 2 more fractures were on his left. His rib cage suffered what's called flail chest, which is the loss of ability to hold its shape. A gaping wound on his right skull left the bone visible. His eyes were also missing. A camera hung around his neck. A second camera distinct from the one left in the tent. He was found gripping a pen in one hand and a small notepad in the other. Searcher Vladimir Askenadze recalled Colonel Ortyukov, or whatever, Ortyukov, snatching the notepad, saying he's written nothing, but that notepad disappeared and was never entered into the case file.
Nothing suspicious at all about that.
Nothing to see here.
He's written nothing.
He's written nothing. And then just, never seen or heard from him again. Which, why you're holding a pen and a pad? What stopped you? Like, and what did you want to write? You wanted to write something. Like, I mean, if I'm running for my fucking life and I get a minute to sit and like write something, I don't know. It's just that freaks me out.
It seems to be like an important piece of evidence that he was trying to create. Yeah,
because it's not like you're like, oh, my last memory. Tell my wife and kids I love them. It's not going to be anything like that. It's urgent enough to be like, there are fucking like monsters in these mountains, or like there's something fucking weird. So Nikolai then, his skull had been shattered by a deep splintered fracture running across both the top and the base. Fragments of bone had been driven into his brain. The forensic examiner compared the force required to being hit by a car. You can tell I'm loving this, can't you?
We're in the gruesome bit. We're in the gruesome bit, and you're just like, yes.
Like fucking my hostile ass. Alexander Kolevatov, by contrast, he had almost no significant trauma. There were minor scrapes on his hands and face. His neck was bent at an angle, likely post-mortem settling. He died of hypothermia. He was found sitting close to Zolotaryov, positioned as if the latter was carrying or protecting him. The medical examiner, under interrogation on May 28th, 1959, stated that the rib fractures occurred while the victims were still alive, caused by the action of a large force. He added that injuries appearing in such a way without any damage to the soft tissue of the chest are very similar to the type of trauma that results from the shockwave of a bomb.
Ooh.
Regarding the missing tissue, the eyes and tongue, the official explanation pointed to simple decomposition after 3 months in running water. Running water, being submerged in that's going to do horrible things to your body. But morgue pictures show that the damage around Dubinina's mouth and nose lacked the ragged look expected from predators or scavengers. The destruction looked precise. Her stomach held roughly 100 grams of dark brown matter, often misidentified as coagulated blood, which some researchers use as evidence that her heart was still beating when her tongue was removed. Justy, you were gonna say something.
No,
there?
I just again just talking about like why the eyes and tongues and stuff would have been missing.
Why do you think? Because it's been ruled out that it's animals.
I don't think it has been ruled out that it's animals. I think
they're just saying it is. Yeah.
I think what you've written here has ruled out that it's animals.
No,
but like there's a lot of
because it didn't
contradictory evidence about a lot of these things. Like so, like some people like when you say like this person says it could be from a bomb, someone else said it looks like they were hit by a truck. Which obviously isn't what would have happened, but it was like trauma that would have been
to that extent,
like to the extent of a small truck. Like so, like all of this kind of comes together. Like there's different people saying kind of different things. Whereas like to decompose for your eyeballs and your tongue to have decomposed within,
but they were
4 months.
Removed.
Yes, Dani. Again, this is. This is what has been stated by different people say different things. So the tongue was removed and here's what I would say. If the tongue looks like it was removed, I would say it could quite possibly be that she bit her own tongue off while something hit.
You do that when you went to like seizure and stuff.
Well, not even to see, like just like trauma hits and fucking your like face gets bet into something. Like I would say she could have bit her tongue off while whatever hit her. You get what I'm saying there?
So like the 4 of these, they were found at the bottom of a ravine. So like if they fell from a great height and they like smacked everything on the way down, it would be quite consistent with all of the injuries.
There is an issue with that though. So that ravine is only, I believe, like 9 foot.
Oh,
okay. Which, yes. So they said if they were to have sustained injuries from a fall, the fall would have had to have been from about 65 foot, I think they were saying.
Right.
So like it would have had to been
much deeper.
Yeah, it would have had to have been a lot bigger. Like so like again, the ravine down into this river is not as big as like again I'm 9 foot is
it's
what
not
I
enough to seem like you're hit by a truck.
But again, like they would have had to have fallen like 65 foot before they would have been able to get injuries to this extent. Now look, don't get me wrong, it all is weird and I'm the first person that would be like, let's find the weird thing. But I just think that like jumping to the straight away, it couldn't have been animals or it couldn't have been this or it couldn't have been that. There's so much stuff that it could have been that I don't think we can rule out like animals. And again, we're looking at like there's
the autopsy was basically it's unlikely to have been predators or scavengers.
Again, there's guys pulling notepads away. They're there's people saying different things about different
being
stuff.
Hidden. Yeah.
So like again, like all I'm saying is let's not rule all of this.
She was
stuff
alive
out.
Either way when it happened, apparently. So the criminal investigation was led by prosecutor Lev Ivanov and the Sverdlovsk Regional Prosecutor's Office. He opened the inquest as soon as the first bodies were found. The case drew unusual attention from above. Ivanov's superior, Evgeny Okashev, later noted that N.I. Klinov, head of the Sverdlov, having a bad time here, you guys.
Too many names.
The Scouts, I know. Prosecutor's office personally attended the initial autopsies in Ivdel and stayed for 3 days, an unprecedented event in Ogashev's experience. Furthermore, A.F. Yeshtokin, second secretary of the regional party committee, stepped in and took control. The party was watching. So, Oisin, as you said, high ups mean like bad things.
Yeah, because like I think like these guys got involved because when it was escalated up the chain so that someone would actually start a search party, it would have kind of gone around the houses with them that like, hey, look, you know, this like, you know, the outdoor pursuits and hiking, you know, this thing that we're promoting and we're like saying is something that like lots of different people should be doing. We've had an incident and it seems to be quite bad. So there'd be a lot of them kind of looking at it going, okay, we want to make sure that this isn't something that we need to worry about for longer than we need to worry about it.
So the Mansi theory, initially investigators pursued an attack by the Mansi people. A Mansi shelter had been found northeast of the campsite and a Mansi trail ran nearby. Several young Mansi hunters were arrested in March 1959 and interrogated. Investigator Vladimir Korotev later alleged the suspects were tortured during questioning. Under pressure, Grigory Kuryakov told investigators that the Mansi had no sacred sites near Dead Mountain. The theory quickly collapsed. Only the hikers' footprints were found at the tent, and there were no signs of a fight. Valuables, cameras, and alcohol were left untouched. The Mansi themselves had joined the search from the beginning. Finally, the autopsy's results on the final 4 bodies indicated trauma no human could inflict.
So that's the thing with the Mansi stuff is like this straight away went to, oh, the Mansis are getting offended because like again you would straight away be like, these savages hold this mountain sacred is what they would be like. So like we got to go, like the easiest route here is, this is Occam's razor, is like, if you see a bunch of Russians dead on a mountain that these people hold sacred, it's these people that killed them. But then when they realize, like, there's nothing sacred about that mountain. It's a mountain. That's what way they described it. It was like, we see that as a mountain. There's nothing sacred about it. It's just where we live. And again, all the evidence kind of goes towards that these people were actually helping them rather than, like, you know, they were just a friendly bunch of people. They didn't even have to be that friendly. They weren't trying to
hide it.
They didn't have to. Like, the fact that they knew the mountain better than anybody else, it was actually them that helped them find their way to finding the bodies. So, like, it's just straight away. Again, I don't want to sound like I'm touched with the woke mind virus, but like these white people getting indigenous people and be like, gotta be them.
So on May 18th, 1959, Ivanov ordered radiation testing on the clothing of the final 4. Chief radiologist Levashov ran the analysis with alarming results. Dumanina's brown sweater registered 9,900 radioactive decays per minute, almost double the Soviet safety threshold, which is so funny because it's like a safety threshold for nuclear radiation.
Soviet safety thresholds are
Soviet safety threshold.
It's so funny to me. Almost double the Soviet safety threshold. After washing the fabric in cold water, the count dropped to 5,200, meaning the contamination was radioactive dust on the surface. Kolotov's pants also showed elevated readings. Ivanov noted that the readings at the time of death would have been far higher, as the remains had been intensively washed by melting water. However, a possible explanation exists. Grivonchenko had worked at the Mayak nuclear complex and participated in the cleanup of the Krishtim disaster. Kolotev had spent time at the stop making me do words. Chelyabinsk.
You wrote this. Just
Chelyabinsk.
I know. Chelyabinsk 40 and Kolomgrova came from a village within the contamination zone. Physicist Igor Pavlov later concluded that the contamination was consistent with Mayak dust, receiving it before the trip. Specialists told Ivanov that the results were meaningless.
Again, this is like Soviet radiation experts, where they're just like, oh yeah, he was working in a factory, like, that's like the normal radiation levels that we'd expect from someone. It is meaningless. So it's just like, yeah, you are radioactive, and
everybody is radioactive.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody
not a
is.
big deal.
And it's just like, yeah, that is the normal amount. And it's just like, straight away they're just like, no, it's not that. That's normal.
But
it's such a strange approach.
We could go down two roads here. Well, we can go down three roads. He's the one being like, that's the truth. It's fine. Number two is they're inept, and they were like, they were afraid of being like, oh no, everything's fine. The radiation is normal because we're Russian and we're always playing around with radioactive shit. It's the 50s. Or number three is that we've got to cover up for something else. So we checked for radiation. We found a lot of radiation, and now we're saying we didn't find a lot of radiation. You get me? So like, there's the possibilities here again, because it is 1959 Russia. We're not going to get many answers like right now, the three of us investigating it here, but like,
what if we solve it?
But the amount of light, I don't think we're going to solve it here, Dani. Just spoiler alert for anybody that's listening. But like, I do think that like, no matter what anybody says here, and I'm going back to like when we talk about, you can't say what is definitive because there's so much lies in the Soviet Union at this time.
Yeah.
Whether it's a cover up or just like people, as we were talking about before with Chernobyl. Just people being like, oh, there's no problem here. You get like, so they won't say what the problem is because they don't want to report a problem.
So May 28th, 1959, the case was officially closed, just one day after Levashov signed the radiological report. In the case file, a draft version of the closing resolution survives, including a full paragraph about radioactive contamination and a note that, quote, none of them was in contact with radioactive substances at his work or study. The draft is crossed out with a blue pencil. The final public resolution erased the radiation entirely. The official conclusion stated that members of the Dyatlov group died due to a compelling natural force that they were unable to overcome. No further explanation was offered. Deputy Prosecutor General Urakov flew in from Moscow to personally shut the case down. The files were locked away in a classified archive, and the mountain pass was declared off limits for 3 years.
See, like, all of that just points to like some crazy cover up.
Yeah.
Like, a guy comes in from Russia, from like, high ranking guy comes in from Moscow, and it's just like, no problem, radiation, that's not an issue. No one was exposed, not talking about that anymore. It's all shut down. Oh, and by the way, no one can go there for 3 years. So we'll have 3 years of like, snow, freeze and thaw, which will just absolutely destroy any like potential evidence of anything that could be up there.
So I like playing devil's advocate with stuff like that. Like obviously when you heard me before, but the further you get, like when it gets to like Russian hierarchy coming in, that's when you can you can't play devil's advocate anymore, because straight away you go, oh well, then something was fucked. Like
or something.
Like nobody's coming in here making it look like a cover up if there was nothing to cover up. This is like there's something going on here. Again, like we can.
It's really odd.
Again, like the easy explanation for all of this, and I'm like what they call the official explanation is that there was an avalanche. It was a slab avalanche. When it hits hard. So like those people got hit, other people went out searching for them, didn't go out searching for them. They all like legged it. A couple of people got hit hard and got sent down into this ravine, and then the rest of the people were died of hypothermia, out looking for them in their socks and jocks. And animals came, yummed on their eyeballs and their tongue, the radiation, not the radiation. They worked in they worked in a nuclear power plant, so that's why there was a small bit of radiation. And now nobody else asked any questions. The guy who was investigating the murders, so the guy who was doing the autopsy, he was only investigating murders. So he shut down his investigation straight away after he discovered that, like, they didn't kill each other, or the Mansi didn't kill each other, or didn't kill them. He was like, okay, I'm shutting this down. And people were like,
yeah, done now.
Yeah. So people were like, no, you can't shut down. We still haven't found out what killed them. And he said, it doesn't matter what killed them to me. I just know humans didn't kill them. So it's not murder. So my investigation is done. And then the next guys that come in to investigate are the guys that walk in, go, nothing to see here. Let's put tape around this and no one else can come here. It's suspicious.
Yeah. So reports exist regarding the unusual physical state of the bodies. Yuri Kuntsevich, cool fucking name, by the way, who attended 5 of the funerals as a 12-year-old, remembered their skin as having a deep brown tan. Search team member Sergei Sorgin described the color as yellow, not orange. While discoloration is documented in death by extreme cold, relatives also described the hiker's hair as having gone completely grey. Turkina, examining the final 4's clothes, noted they had some strange light purple hue, although their natural colors were different. I asked Boris, the medical examiner, don't you think the clothes are processed with something? And he agreed.
The fact that they had proper, open caskets, though, is baffling to me. So, like, you had all 9 had open casket funerals, which is fucking. There's people missing their fucking eyeballs here. Close them up.
Yeah.
But this is proper, like, you know, kind of urban legend where it's just like, oh yeah, like their skin was like really tanned and their hair had gone white and their clothes were glowing purple. Like, and
they had 12 arms, like, and one of the heads looked at me. But like, it's like but every
one of the heads looked at you. Get me the secret police.
Get me the KGB. But every one of them are saying like I saw purple skin, I saw yellow skin, I saw grey skin. It's like, okay, right, who do we believe here then, you fucking Ruskies?
Yeah. So a separate group of hikers camping 50 kilometers south reported seeing strange orange spheres drifting across the sky the night of the Dyatlov group died. Similar objects were spotted over the following weeks by soldiers and meteorologists. Search party member Vladislav Karelin described a fireball moving like a missile. A local newspaper, the Tagil Worker, printed a report about the fireballs while the hikers were still on their trek. The editor got in trouble for running the story. Now, none of these sightings were included in the 1959 investigation. Years later, Lev Ivanov admitted to muzzling the evidence, saying, I did it myself. I withdrew the radiation test report. I was told to remove everything that is irrelevant. In 1990, after 31 years of silence, Ivanov published an article stating his true belief. I stuck to the version of the death of the student hikers from exposure to an unknown flying object based on the evidence gathered. The role of UFOs in this tragedy was quite obvious. He claimed that when he reported his findings, Yashtokin ordered him to classify and forget everything.
Yeah.
It's aliens, dude.
It was aliens.
It has to be.
That's what it was all along.
I'm gonna go through the theories now. I'll run through these really quickly, but I think it's quite clear.
I think we all know it was aliens.
So the first theory is the Avalanche theory. In February 2019, Russian burn. Russian authorities reopened the case, strictly examining only 3 natural causes: an avalanche, slab avalanche, or a hurricane. A crime was completely ruled out. On July 11th, 2020, Audrey Kurakov, representing the Prosecutor General's office, announced the Avalanche conclusion. It was a heroic struggle. There was no panic, but in those circumstances, they had no chance of escaping. The reconstruction. A slab of snow broke loose above the tent. The hikers heard it coming, cut the canvas, and climbed downhill. The wind collapsed what was left of the tent. They made it to the cedar and started a fire. 4 moved to the ravine, dug a platform of branches, and triggered a second collapse that buried them under 3 meters of snow, crushing their chests and skulls. In 2021, researchers using scientific models based on weather data and snow simulation code, notably code developed for Disney's Frozen, showed that a small but lethal slab avalanche was plausible, triggered hours later by the hikers' cuts into the hillside combined with wind loading. But here are the flaws. Searchers found no debris field or displaced snow typical of an avalanche. The skis standing upright near the tent were undisturbed. The slope angle, 28 degrees, is lower than typical slab avalanche terrain. Experienced hikers like Dyatlov would likely have recognized avalanche-prone terrain. The footprints show people walking in an orderly line, not running. The theory does not explain the radiation, missing tissue, or lights in the sky.
Yeah, for the avalanche thing there, like it all is like when they put it out piece by piece there, you kind of go, oh yeah, that is the most plausible thing. Like people like were like an avalanche came, so they got out of the tent in fear that they were going to get covered in snow. Then they walked, whatever, like blah 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 blah. But then when they go through what it would take to make that set of circumstances actually happen, you've got some fucking tough dominoes to make fall for it all to kind of line up.
Absolutely. So then we have the catabolic winds. Theory suggests sudden high-speed cold winds rolled downhill. In the Urals, these can reach hurricane force. The 2019 review confirmed extreme conditions that night. The theory holds that the wind made the tent uninhabitable, forcing emergency evacuation. But the flaw, it does not explain why they cut their way out instead of using the entrance, and winds alone do not produce targeted, crushing internal fractures without marking the skin. Then we have infrasound, proposed by American filmmaker Dani. This suggests that the wind flowing over the dome summit generated Kármán vortex streets, alternating spiral vortices producing infrasound. Studies show infrasound exposure can cause anxiety, fear, or difficulty breathing. Eicher proposed that infrasound caused overwhelming panic, driving the hikers to cut their way out and flee. The flaw, infrasound doesn't explain the crushing injuries. Furthermore, acoustic scientists are not certain infrasound exposure causes extreme panic, and no documented case exists of a human killed by infrasound or experiencing the level of panic required to abandon shelter.
That's another one that is like super, like, you know, you have to have the absolute perfect conditions in order to like have this option be plausible. And it's like, look, it is, you know, it is a possibility, but like they did conclude that like they don't even know if infrasound can cause the conditions or cause the panic and the anxiety that may have led to them abandoning their tent. You know, it's I think this one like really doesn't hold much water.
Yeah, they have like these towns that they talk about with this hum and it's the infrasound. But people who live in these places, nobody is like running around in their jocks. Because it's like, again, there is people that say like they feel sick, they feel anxious all the time, and they don't feel well because of it. But there's no panic unless this was something that, like, again, like what you're saying, Oisin, it doesn't hold water with me either. But like, to play devil's advocate again, it's like if this was something that was brand new to them and they didn't understand what was happening to their body, they might have got up and legged it. But I would say that this is like a 0.001% chance for me that infrasound is the reason why they left that tent.
Yeah.
We have paradoxical undressing. This is a physiological phenomenon occurring in 20% to 50% of hypothermia deaths. As the body shuts down, the brain misfires, creating a false sensation of burning heat, causing victims to strip off their clothes. This explains why Doroshenko and Kuravenchenko were found nearly naked at the Cedar. But the flaws, Evidence shows survivors deliberately removing clothing from the already deceased to stay alive. This points to calculated survival attempts, not confusion. Paradoxical undressing doesn't explain the initial fleeing of the tent or the crushing injuries.
So, like, a plausible thing here is that a couple of them had this kind of hypoxia where they would then strip off naked and they went off running. And then the guys who weren't suffering from it were just like, oh shit, we better go get them. Maybe they didn't feel like they had enough time to get dressed in order to go and catch them in time. But with it being minus 40 and being practically naked, like that cold will just get into you like exceptionally quick. So like it is quite possible that like they went to try and save their friends, were very unsuccessful at it, and then tried to take their clothes, but then realized, shit, we're too far away, we need to light a fire quick. And maybe then that, like it kind of set in with them, and that's how they ended up down there.
Yeah. I would say that like this is really plausible that it actually did happen to like, but again, this isn't the like, what two things can happen. Like they can be attacked by a fucking bald eagle and also have had hypothermia and took their clothes off. You know what I mean? Like, so what if for people to be like, oh, this couldn't be the reason that they died, this paradoxical undressing. Yeah, but like,
I mean,
but two things can happen. You know what I mean? It could be one of like, it could be one of the other things that we have on the list here. And also they were stripping off because they were fucking hypothermic.
Yeah. And then we have military tests. This is the prominent theory favored by the hikers' families. The Dyatlov campsite sat between the Baikonur Cosmodrome and the
Chernaya
Guba or Juba.
Mm-hmm. Guba.
I was like asking. Guba. Nuclear testing ground. 2019 investigation confirmed rocket launches from the Kapushtin Yar training range during the expedition. Though the launch site was deemed not visible from the pass. The glowing spheres have been attributed to OR-7 intercontinental missile debris. One specific version focuses on parachute mines designed to detonate in midair, producing massive internal trauma with minimal surface damage, matching the autopsy findings exactly. Records indicate the Soviet military tested parachute mines in that mountain range during that period. Flaw here, no declassified documents confirm military activity at that specific location on that specific night. Why would they though?
Well, they don't declassify many documents in from like Soviet times, and they don't declassify like modern documents either. So it's that thing where they can't confirm or deny. And like this one is, they're like, oh yeah, we know that they were testing weaponry in this mountain, and it's like, what, were they just like fucking up all of the indigenous people as well? But there's not many reports on that.
So then we have espionage. This theory focuses on Sasha. At 37, he was much older than the others. He was a World War II veteran and used a name that wasn't his, carried mysterious tattoos the group didn't know about, and switched expeditions 3 days before the departure for unexplained reasons. Like literally he had just said because it was longer, and I guess he wanted to be out there longer.
Yeah.
He'd also spent time in Lermontov, a closed city due to uranium mining. Despite his brother's wartime collaboration with the Germans, Sasha was never expelled from the party. The theory proposes that Zolotrov and possibly Krivchenko, given his nuclear work, he worked in it. So he was in college in the same university as the students, but he did also work in a nuclear plant at this time, which again would have explained a little bit of the radiation on his clothing, but not to the extent that was found, basically. It could point to a controlled delivery or handoff of nuclear materials. Details like the second camera Sasha fled with, and notepad that Colonel seized, the false name, and the separation from the main group for burial support this. In 2018, Sasha's body was exhumed. No burial record for him existed in Sverdlovsk, while a skull facial analysis matched. Initial DNA tests found no genetic connection to his niece, though a second standard test came back positive.
Yeah, just a lot of mystery behind this dude.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just like a weird guy, and like they're
which
like
is going to happen with
but like this thing where it's like one DNA theory was like, oh no relation, and then the second one, oh no, they're actually related. Like it's just like with him, there's just like, I think it's that people want him to be like the center of some conspiracy. So it's like, oh yeah, let's dig him up, let's do a skull analysis.
I guess he's the easiest person to kind of hone in on. Like he was the outsider that, so the last theory I have, and then we'll get into the conclusion, but we have a Yeti.
That's it. That's it. That's what it was.
I love it. Yeti comes in out of nowhere at the end. It's like it's like you're watching a marathon and you're like, who's going to win the marathon? And like at the last second, Yeti just runs past everybody and just gets past the line.
Which I would love. I would love a Yeti to be real. I really would. So this would be like my favorite theory. The Yeti got him.
A funny thing I've seen is that they were making jokes about the snowman and stuff before in this newspaper, but they took a picture.
Yeah, that's what you were saying when you were like the full circle. But go on.
Did you see this? Now I don't know if it's a hoax or what, but like apparently they took a picture. On one of these pictures, they have like a Yeti looking thing kind of in the background. Now again, this holds no water with anybody. No one believes that this is an actual thing, like that this is the Yeti that they have a picture of. But it's funny that this kind of seems that they're making jokes about that they're going on an adventure to find the Yeti, and then they all end up dead and torn to bits and smashed up. And, I don't think it was a Yeti, but I think the Yeti was watching whatever happened and he has the answers.
I can't ever be afraid of the Yeti though, because anytime I think of it is you guys have both seen Monsters Inc., right?
Yes. Perfect. Yeah, it's the best character.
It's so fucking funny. It's the funniest thing. And it's basically just like Mike and Sully get like excommunicated and they're kicked out and they're banished. And then they're in the snow and this like big hulking scary figure walks towards him and it's like a Yeti and he's like, welcome to the Himalayas, and he's like the best character.
He's just like a solid dude.
Yeah, just sort of like make some snow cones and stuff, and he's so good. But I can't think of a Yeti without thinking of him because I'm like, I can't be scared of that guy.
Fun fact, the guy who does his voice does a voice in every Pixar movie.
Yeah, it's Cliff
Ratzinger, isn't it? Or whatever. Is it Ratzinger?
John Ratzinger. It's Cliff from Cheers.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Isn't he like the school of fish?
Yes,
in Nemo, and he's like
Mac the truck.
Yeah, he's Mac the truck. Yeah, he's so funny. He's really good. He's a really good voice actor
in Toy Story. Yes. So
another guy who like has a lot of voice acting gigs is really funny. It's just Billy West who does Fry from Futurama and Bender.
He doesn't do Bender.
No, he doesn't do Bender. Sorry, he does Fry, but he does like a bunch of other different characters.
Joe DiMaggio like, does Bender.
Yeah.
Bender, sorry. That's me being stupid. Anyway, okay, so the Yeti.
How long is this episode going, guys? Alex, let's talk about Futurama for an hour.
Alex, you can cut that. That's fine. But
that was just a fun Alex, that's the only thing I had fun listening to. So cut all of the rest of the podcast and leave the Futurama stuff in.
We talked about badgers. You were happy with that.
I was quite happy. It seems like such a long time ago now, though.
Oh my God. Like, we're not doing maths. We're not talking about aliens that I can fuck. I don't care.
We can talk about, I was going to say, we could.
It is a very me and Oisin heavy episode because we've got Russians and death.
Lots of Russians.
So, like, you are left out here, Justy, and I'm sorry.
To be honest with you, Dani, this is a very Justy episode, but I feel like I can't jump in and talk for a half an hour each time I want to because there's so much to talk about.
You could have been. All right, anyway, let me just finish it up here and we can get your points in at the end.
In conclusion.
We have miscellaneous and fringe theories. One is a Yeti based on the joke in the Evening or Toten newspaper. The second one is escaped prisoners. Mistaken identity by Gulag guards on prison breakouts were reported that night, so they might have run into some prisoners in the mountains. Unlikely though, because they were in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
And then we also have a theory of romantic jealousy. So a fight within the group. Diaries show no friction. No human could ever deliver those injuries. So we don't know if it was like...
Two of them were a couple and then broke up before this thing. So
before the trek.
Yeah. So not one of the Uris. I forget which one it was. But anyways, it was the girl who you keep calling Blaggity Black. What was her name? Yanni? And you keep calling her by her second name. Who cares? But like, they were a couple, and then there was a little bit of like rowing before, like, because the way they talk, we were looking at the newspaper and stuff like that they're all having the best crack and everything is fun and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're having a great laugh.
But there is a little bit of weirdness because your one is Dyatlov's friend, but she had been going out with this, I think it was the other Yuri, now that I come to think of it, and she was going out with,
it was one of the Yuri.
so she was going out with him, but they'd broken up. There was a little bit of kind of like, do you guys still want to go on this hike because you're no longer a couple? And they were like, they agreed, yeah, but like, there was a little bit of bad blood. But also there was apparently like the night before with Sasha, there was a little bit of contention that they were like, we shouldn't bring this guy along with us.
Yeah, she didn't want him on at all.
Exactly. She was like, I don't know this weird guy. I don't want him around. And apparently like, they all made up and everything was fine afterwards, like according to like the journals and stuff like that. But to say that like everything was fun and songs and dances and there was no contention would be like a little bit off what actually happened.
I mean, you're spending essentially 3 weeks with a bunch of people anyway, in such close quarters. It's not going to be like all sunshine and roses.
But what kind of a fight would break out that you'd be like, hey, stop touching my girlfriend.
Now I have flail ribs.
So all 9 people better run out and let's rip a hole in this tent because you're fucking my girlfriend.
And now my tongue is gone. Like,
I'm so jealous. I'm going to rip your eyes out. Yeah, I don't think that's what happened.
I mean, I don't know. Russian people fight differently, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's... I don't know. So Yuri Yudin carried the weight of his decision to turn back for the rest of his life. He never married or had children. He held on to the small teddy bear that Lumila gave him. Yudin spent years at a magnesium plant near Perm, then moved into city government until he retired, but he kept hiking. His theories about what killed his friends changed, but they always aimed towards something man-made. Military testing, chemicals, radiation, or explosives. Like the families, he never accepted the natural cause explanation. In the final years, he withdrew from the world. Yudin died on April 27, 2013, at the age of 75, heart failure. His ashes were laid to rest beside the 7 friends he lost in Mikashvo Cemetery. The mountain pass was renamed in the group's honor. A monument stands at the cemetery. A memorial plaque was unveiled in Solikamsk in 2016 for Yudin, and the University Touring Club now bears Igor Dyatlov's name. In conclusion, the final unidentifiable image on Krivchenko's film shows figures barely visible through the wind and snow on the afternoon of February 1st. Frame number 34, the last exposure, is completely blurred, showing only darkness and a bright 8-sided globe. Investigators dismissed it as degraded film. Some view it as evidence of UFOs or other fringe theories. Camera experts offer a duller explanation. The shape catches the 8-bladed aperture inside the lens. If the lens barrel wasn't pulled all the way out before firing, the result is that shaped of a blob of light. The camera shutter was found half wound, suggesting the exposure happened unintentionally while someone was advancing the film. New researchers continue to examine the case. Around 75 theories exist. Every theory explains some of the evidence, but no theory explains all of it. What happened on the slope of Dead Mountain remains formally and functionally unsolved.
A lot of it that it's like unsolved like this is, you know, the fact that people like feel so strongly about it. It's the fact that, like, you know, the higher ups in the Communist Party turned up to like make sure that, like, oh yeah, look, we're gonna like nip this in the bud. We don't want anything weird. The radiation stuff. It's not that they said it was like, oh yeah, that's not the cause of it. It's just they didn't want anyone talking about the radiation. And it's probably because they were like, okay, if people talk about the radiation, maybe they'll look into like how effective our plants are, like how safe our plants are.
Yeah, why are people who work in our plants walking around with like so much radiation on their clothes?
I bring you peace. I bring you love.
Don't be afraid.
Like, why are they glowing in the fucking dark? So the party would have just been like, no, there's not, like, the radiation's not important. Let's not look at that. And like, then if people start talking about like fucking aliens and UFOs and Yetis, the party just be like, good. They're not looking at the radiation.
That last picture is fucking terrifying. Thank you, Justy, for that. That is.
So Dani, the way you're talking about me creepy. Here is that I'm not interested in this. I'm very much so interested in this. I'm just not interested in knowing all of their Russian names. But the thing that I find so interesting with this is the fact that there is so many avenues, as Oisin's saying there, like the way they're talking about like the radiation on the clothes. That's one thing that like they're covering that up.
Yes.
But not necessarily because that's a problem, like that is what happened here. It could be something else. So like there's so many different avenues, like, and then we go into the Mansi tribe and you're like, I want to know the backstory of this whole fucking tribe and how they live in this place.
I would love to know more about the Mansi.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so I think that could be I want to know more about, and then we have this picture that they've taken that looks like there's some Yeti or whatever it is. It could just be Sasha off taking a piss or whatever it is. But like, but like, I want to know more about this picture. These guys seeing lights in the sky, and the aliens, was it like, again, to look at it in a logical view, like in Russia, there's a shitload of meteors that fall because, like, up there in the rural Urals, you've got you've say that 10 times fast, but like you've got no light pollution. So when you see the night sky, you're seeing like what are fireballs in the night sky, but really, like, could they just be meteorites and stuff like that? Like, again, what is the name of that? Do you guys know that massive meteorite that hit and it just like knocked down every tree? And it happened in Russia.
It was
the fucking name of it is absolutely jumping out of my brain right now.
It is the Tunguska event.
Yes. So
that was in like 1908.
Yeah. So again,
and then there was a bunch of
like it's just what I'm saying is it's not unusual for lights to be in the sky in like the middle of fucking nowhere, out in the Urals or in Siberia or wherever it is out here in Russia that is out in the fucking wilderness. Like, but again, I can't rule out that it's not fucking aliens because people are saying so. Like, there's so many different accounts. Like, is it were the military the stuff with Sasha talking about like was this guy out here trying to kill people because they're like, there was the whole, are they leaking nuclear secrets to the Americans as well? That was another one. And Sasha was sent out there to kill everybody. And, you know, there was a bunch of people who were just collateral damage because he needed to kill 2 people that worked in a nuclear facility. Also, the Russians were testing small nuclear weapons, like not nuclear explosions, but like bioweapons that were like
like personalized, exactly, kind of small scale ones. They were talking about the sound thing here, where it's like that was an actual weapon and not just the sound coming from the wind through the mountains. That there was another thing saying like that the Russians were testing out these weapons that they wanted to use in America that
like basically the brown noise? Could we make Americans shit themselves?
There are weapons nowadays that are based on sound waves.
Exactly.
They're using, so this technology, they have been developing alternate technologies for weaponry for a very long time. So it's very possible that they would have had like this kind of like sonic weapon that they would have been testing.
Exactly. This one tickles me in so many fucking different directions because,
like you were saying, like Sasha at the start, like, when he like met up with all these people, he said to like someone, the quote is, "This whole world will start talking about this trek. They will soon find out about everything." Like, it's so fucking ominous.
It's really ominous.
Like the way they explain that is that he was like, "Oh, nobody's ever done this trek in the winter. Nobody's ever
done this hike.
So no one's ever gone through this pass. It wasn't called the Dyatlov Pass at the start because that would have been a big coincidence. That actually would have been a lot of foreshadowing, I imagine. It was like, well,
why is this named after you? I don't know.
Too much at that point.
They've named this pass after me, and it's because I survived very much to go through here. No, it's so like the way that we're talking about this pass as well, that like, this is going to be one of those, like, we're all going to get like our 3rd degree grade for going through this pass because it's so dangerous, and but we're going to be able to do it because we're superhuman or whatever it is. But like, but again, it's just the wording of that. So like when you talk about like, oh, he just means that everybody's going to be talking about you guys because you've done the unthinkable here and you've gone through that pass at winter. But when you look at the actual words, it looks like, no, people are going to be talking about this because something fucked up is going to happen up here.
Yeah, legit.
Our names will ring in infamy forever. In a good way? Like, what are we talking? What are we talking about here, Sasha?
What I think happened. So I'm going to give you what I think happened.
Okay.
I think aliens came down in a ball of fire.
Hell yeah.
They beamed metaphysical Bigfoot down.
Fuck yeah.
They gave him a nuclear sound weapon that he used to make a slab avalanche, and that's what killed them all.
I think you've cracked it. I think you've cracked it.
I think it was definitely military. I think they were unknowingly.
They were army aliens.
No.
It was a military grade Bigfoot.
Yeah, but I think they like unknowingly camped in like
General Yeti.
Oh God,
Brigadier General Bigfoot.
But Dani, I do believe that like if anything is put, like, you know what I mean, of the plausible things, I think you might be right there with that one. Like that the military, like I think the most plausible here is that
I think they were testing in those mountains, and then they like unknowingly like just fucking set up camp when they were doing all sorts of like fucking like weapons testings or whatever, and then they got like poisoned, but like, or you know what I mean, like whatever the fuck happened. I think it was military, especially for the fact that they closed it off for like so long afterwards. Like it has to be like fucking military because the Russians are sneaky cunts anyway, so it has to be something like that.
I like my explanation better.
Yeah, I'm just saying this one. Yeah.
We'll go with Yeti. Space Yeti, fine, whatever.
It was badgers.
Don Conroy.
So I don't think we're going to do any better than... I don't think we're going to get the explanation now, so...
I'm on board.
I think take us home.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we figured it out. The Dyatlov Pass has been once and for all put to bed. It was aliens plus Bigfoot plus the reverse vampires in conjunction with our parents. And yeah, those 9 people died, and may they rest in peace. Today's podcast has been produced by Alex Quinn, and he has a hell of a job putting this together. I've been Justy. He's been Oisin, and leading the charge today has been Dani Thomas. Thank you for hanging out with us for a spell.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.